Oya biasi esum odeka boys ni gum. Biasi we ni brementi me nam kwa and some red ni gum. Now I know we all like this song, but funny enough, this song is posing the greatest health threat to Ghana in 2025. Wonim Red, Wonim Red, Wonim Red. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this trend, Wonim Red. And it's a very worrying trend because with this Wonim Red thing, it's literally portraying drug abuse on screen. And it's kind of, I don't know whether it's encouraging it or it's the pride that you guys are taking in the fact that you are abusing drugs. That is actually baffling me. So let's talk about Wonim Red. So Red is a 225 milligram Tramadol tablet, and Tramadol is an opioid. So when we're talking about what an opioid is, it means it is related to opium. And for those of you who know opium, opium is a narcotic drug. It is extracted from the poppy plant. So if you watch Game of Thrones, those of you who watch Game of Thrones, you remember there was something more like milk of the poppy. If they say somebody is sick or somebody is going through pain, then they give them milk of the poppy to help them ease the pain. They were literally making a parallel to opium, because if you look at the opium plant, it's called poppy, and when you cut it, it gives this milky something, this milky extract. So I'll show it to you guys in the video. Now we're talking about Tramadol, and Tramadol is a synthetic opioid. Synthetic in the sense that it is made in a lab and it's not naturally occurring like the opium itself. And what do we use Tramadol for? We use it to treat moderate to severe pain. So it is actually a pain relieving drug. We use it for pain. In the medical sense, we are using it to treat pain. Now what is worrying is that you guys are using Tramadol to not treat pain. You are using it for your own benefit as to whatever effect it is you are looking for. We're going to talk about it. But the worrying fact is that you're not using it to treat pain and you're also abusing it. Why am I saying you're abusing Tramadol? You're abusing Tramadol because the normal doses for Tramadol, it has a short release dose and also an extended release dose. So the short release doses are usually in 50 milligrams and the extended release doses come in 100, 200 and 300 milligrams. Now the Wonim Red that is trending is actually a 225 milligram dose of Tramadol. And for those of you who have maybe bought Tramadol from the pharmacy or stuff, you're actually familiar with Tramadol as a capsule. It's usually blue and white or in those similar bright colors in the shade of blue. You get. So this Tramadol is actually a tablet. This Tramadol 225 is a tablet. And it looks red. I don't know whether it's a marketing gimmick but red. The moment you are seeing a red tablet, you are not buying the red tablet from a pharmacy, you're not buying it from a licensed dealer, you're supposed to know that it's danger, but for some reason you still buy it. So let's talk about Red 225. Red 225, 225 milligrams of Tramadol. That's the active substance that you are getting inside. What are you using it for? On a normal day, you're supposed to use it to treat moderate to severe pain, but you are not doing that. So let's talk about the side effects. The side effects are you can feel dizzy. So I'm going to group the side effects into mild side effects and then serious side effects. Those serious, I also call them dangerous, because once you are getting there, you know that Charlie, whatever it is you are doing with your life or you are experimenting with your life is not good. But let's talk about the mild side effects. We're talking about the mild side effects like dizziness, drowsiness, nausea and vomiting, dry lips, dry mouth. So let me just chip this in. If you see your favorite artist in the studio, he's talking about red and things, and then you see that his lips are dry, he looks like he's not applied cream in the longest time, you're supposed to know that Charlie, he's not there with his original eyes. He's high on something. But anyway, let's continue. You can also experience sweatiness, and that is literally variable when it comes to the mild side effects. When it gets to the serious part, we'll also talk about this same sweatiness again. So let's get to the dangerous side effects. These are the side effects that I'm going to consider dangerous. And the very first one we're talking about is dependency. And when we're talking about dependency on a drug, it means that if you don't have that drug, you will feel like maybe there's something wrong. Or let's say when you are not on the drug, you feel like your pain has worsened. Probably just a feeling. Maybe the pain has not worsened, but that is how you feel. So if you are on a prescription of Tramadol, you need to talk to your doctor. If you're not on a prescription too, you still need to find the nearest healthcare center and talk to a doctor. Now we're talking about 50 milligrams. We said that's the short-term dose. That's the short dose for Tramadol. And it needs to be taken every 4 to 6 hours. Mind you, the abuser is taking red. Red is 225 milligrams. So that 225 milligrams, it's not like the boys, they are taking the red, they are taking just one. When you look at the videos, you see how they are behaving as if they are zombies. They are taking 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5, then combine them. Then they take it. Some of them are milking. I said they are milking. Some of them are mixing it with milk. Some of them are mixing it with juice. Some of them are mixing it with even alcohol. And we'll get to why I'm not supposed to be mixing with alcohol now. But I'm trying to show you the severity of what people are doing. And I'm saying the boys mostly because it's boys that are doing that. I've hardly seen girls into this trend. So big ups to the girls. You guys are behaving yourselves nicely. But now the boys. 225 times 5 is what? We're talking about 1,125 milligrams of a drug. A drug that is usually given in 50 milligrams. So it means in a day, if you take that drug 3 times, you are supposed to take 150 mg to control your pain. First off, you have no pain. You have no reason to be nearing Tramadol in the first place. You have also taken 225 times 5, 1,125 milligrams of Tramadol. We'll get to overdose. You'll see that you are killing yourself. Another thing we need to talk about is seizures. So Tramadol is going to decrease your seizure threshold. And for those of you who don't know what a seizure is, it's literally like a violent shaking of the body. Okay, so if you watch movies, you see that usually when they poison somebody, before they do that fake thing that something is coming out of their mouth, they do some raspobicheche shaking. So that is literally seizures. And now, Tramadol is going to decrease your seizure threshold. So on a normal day, if the things that are supposed to cause the seizure, your body is resisting them by having a threshold, Tramadol is going to decrease that threshold, and then it's going to make you more susceptible to the triggers of a seizure. So you see that it's not a drug that you are supposed to be abusing, because even in normal recommended doses, it does that. So imagine you've increased the dose. You see what you're doing to yourself. Now we're going to talk about something called serotonin syndrome. And one of the actions of Tramadol, aside the pain relieving actions, is that it's going to increase your serotonin, and it's also going to increase your norepinephrine. Now let's talk about serotonin. Serotonin is that hormone that makes you, it's your body's feel-good hormone, you get. So if you're doing something, you're feeling good about it. For those of you who like to dance or you like to sing, you see that when you're doing it, it makes you feel happy. Those of you who like to sleep too. It's usually serotonin that is involved in all of these feel-good emotions, you get. So if, like any other thing in this world, too much of everything is bad, and too little of everything too probably may not be good, unless it's sickness. You want to have 0. But we're talking about serotonin. If your body has too much serotonin, we call that serotonin syndrome. How is it going to manifest? It's going to manifest as agitation, confusion, high blood pressure, slow heart rate, dilated pupils. You can have diarrhea. You can be sweating excessively. Sometimes, like, them put air conditioner on yourself, you go to sweat, and you've noticed that some of these boys, you can say that the person is sweating. You are fanning him. You're going to put him inside air condition, whatever it is. The sweating is not stopping. Those are signs that you need to run to the nearest hospital. If not, you are at a big risk. So the things you're not supposed to be taking tramadol with, you're not supposed to be taking tramadol with antidepressants. And we're also not supposed to be taking tramadol with sedatives. When I'm talking about sedatives, we're talking about stuff that make you sleepy or drowsy. Now, speaking of sleepiness and drowsiness, that is one of the effects of tramadol. And I just want to chip this in. If you are somebody who works and your work really requires attention, like you're a driver, or yeah, like you do things that are going to be involved with human lives, the smallest lapse of concentration and then people are dead, or you are going to cause a lot of harm by not being concentrated. If you are even going on a prescription, you're supposed to be telling your driver that, okay, if your doctor is prescribing tramadol for you, you know that you're a driver, you're supposed to be telling him, oh doctor, I'm also a driver, so how are we going to do it? Because tramadol, one of the side effects is it can make you sleepy. And imagine, out of no fault of yours, you are driving a car, you took your tramadol in the morning, and then you get sleepy and you kill your passengers, or you end up causing an accident. You won't feel good about yourself if you're alive after that to tell the story. You get? So with stuff like this, you're supposed to know. If maybe your doctor might be mistaken and not ask you, you are supposed to know and then tell them. So you're not supposed to be taking tramadol with sedatives like benzodiazepines, like Xanax. You're not supposed to be taking it with alcohol, especially alcohol, because alcohol is readily available. You're not supposed to be taking that because it's going to worsen the sedation effect. Tramadol, like any other narcotic, can disturb your breathing in the sense that it's going to suppress your breathing. So any narcotic drug is going to suppress your breathing. It has a respiratory suppression effect. So imagine you are someone who already has difficulty breathing. Let's say you're an asthma patient, you have COPD. COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And you have any of those diagnoses, or you know that, like, on a normal day, if your breath really is not the best, you have difficulty breathing, then tramadol is not supposed to be a drug for you. Once it's prescribed for you, you're supposed to tell your doctor, oh, this is how I feel. Maybe I have difficulty breathing, or I have asthma, or I have COPD. So he should look into it for you. You get? Because there's something called respiratory depression. Once you get into respiratory depression, it means that your respiratory system is literally collapsing, and it's going to be very difficult for healthcare to bring you back from that point. Okay, so it's not really a good thing. Imagine you are there. Let's say you like tramadol, okay, because it's not me who's going to advise you. This is medical information. It's not medical advice. So let's say you are taking your tramadol, you're also taking it with alcohol. All of a sudden, you realize you can't breathe, and that was the last moment of your life. High to meet the most high. It's not good. So if you are seeing these things, you know that you are at risk of overdose, or literally you are overdosing. So if you see your friend behaving like this, or you see these signs on your friend, please rush them to the hospital before anything happens. Maybe you were taking the tramadol with them and something happens, you become a suspect. So better it doesn't get there. Rush them to the hospital. What am I talking about? The first thing is small pupils. So there's something inside your eye, very small pupil is inside your eye that is supposed to let in light. And if that pupil keeps constricting, it looks very small. If you look inside the person's eye, you can see the pupil. The pupil looks very constricted. One sign of overdose. Second sign of overdose is that you are trying to wake the person up. Let's say they are in that state of sleep. You are trying to wake them up. They are not waking up. Please take them to the hospital before anything bad happens. Now, the third thing is extreme sweatiness or clamminess. You touch the person's skin, the skin feels like they've put water and oil or whatever it is. The skin feels sticky. Still, please, we beg you, take that person to the hospital. Slow heart rate. With this, maybe you might not be able to discover it on your own. But then again, a slow heart rate is a sign that you are overdosed. So we've talked about tramadol and we've talked about Red 225. So when you're taking Red, technically know that you are taking tramadol in very high doses. 225 milligrams is a very high dose of tramadol. And in this case, you are not in any pain. You are not treating Jack. You are just, I don't want to call it laziness, but probably you don't have anything to do. And you decide that, okay, with the things I don't have to do, I'll abuse drugs. Some of you also have things to do. And because you feel like Tramadol gives you that strength. It numbs your pain. You are going to work. So because of that, in construction or something like that, you take your Tramadol before you go to work. You are combining Tramadol with energy drinks. I don't know what you are looking for, but I hope you really watched this video and then you understood the damage that you are doing to yourself. You can literally die from a Tramadol overdose. And I don't think that's what you want when you're taking the drug. Look at the person who is selling the drug and see if he's taking it. These drugs, according to sources, they are being manufactured in China and India, and that's how they are getting to our market. They are not legal. Tramadol 225 is not legal in Ghana. You get? So it's not something you're supposed to be buying. It's not something definitely you're supposed to be abusing. All right. I hope you've learned something from this video. For those of you who take Tramadol as a normal prescription medication, I hope you got some insight into your drug. For those of you who are abusing Tramadol, please go and see a doctor immediately. Don't just say, I want to stop. It's not willpower alone. The moment you stop immediately like that, you can easily relapse. And relapse is worse. Relapse means going back. Relapse is worse. So please go and talk to a doctor, visit the nearest healthcare facility, and then find a way to start treating yourself. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Remember, your body, you have only one. So please take care of it. I'm do connecting them with the sun. Sorry, the city they have one in your room, one number, no say, hey, now say one to me. Now I'm saying one to now they can. Or when if you connect me, say, and you know the balance, your son or salmon. One to like a kind. Hey, what do you can? You're Wonim Red. Wonim Red.